Hey everybody, welcome to She's Smart. I'm your host, Maria Robotham. On today's episode, I have Anne Delorier, the owner of 1111 Accessories Boutique in Westport, Connecticut. Anne launched her accessories company in 2018 as a subscription service and has grown to a full omni-channel retail concept that is a staple in our community. In her store, you will find everything from jewelry to sunglasses to bags and seasonal items. In this episode, we chat about getting dressed, retail, starting a business while raising a family, and balancing all of it. So get cozy as we connect, learn, and laugh together on She's Smart. Hi. I'm so glad you're here.
I'm so glad I'm here.
What is going on with 1111 right now?
We're really focused on the holiday boxes, which you have been a part of, which is so exciting and fun.
Wait, hold on. Let's go back. So where did the box idea come from, the subscription boxes?
I started 1111 with the boxes. That was the original plan. We do 4 to 5 accessories in the box for a set cost, great price point. And there's always a bag in the box, there's always jewelry, and then there's some seasonally sort of either savvy or something that's like really trending accessory wise. So I had this idea of starting this business because my kids were going to school. My youngest was going to kindergarten. We had a funny moment. Actually, if I can segue into a story of why I started the business, I had this funny moment with my daughter who was, I think, probably 3 years old. And she said, Mommy, let's play Mommy. And I said, okay, what does that look like? And she said, okay, I'm going to go get my coffee and go to the gym. That's my day. Bye. And I was like, oh no, there is so much to learn here. And there's so many, we have to shift this narrative a bit. So I was lucky enough to stay home with my kids for the first 10 years of, motherhood, childhood, whatever. And I don't sit well. I like to have a project. I like to work. And I worked very hard on them. And then when their hours were going to be sucked up at school, I felt like I needed something for me. It was time to get back to me. I tried to think of something that was not going to be all the time. I didn't really want to open a retail store because I wanted to have the flexibility of being home and going to practices and being there for my kids. So I dreamt up the box, and it's seasonal. So I remember pitching it to my husband, and I said, it will be minimal work. I'll just find these accessories. We'll send out the boxes, and then I'll have a month or two to relax between the cycles. And that is never how it ended up. Not even one time was it that simple. There was building the website, there was promoting, there was sourcing, it was from the beginning. It's been a full-time 24/7 kind of thing.
Much more than just 1 month, this will be fun. Then I'll get 2 months off, and then another month.
Yes.
It's a lot more that goes behind the scenes in that.
Yes. But I love the idea. I mean, listen, I started the business in 2018. I think subscriptions were very hot then. I sort of have shifted how I'm presenting the service. To me, it's a curation of accessories that I feel like you should have to kick off your season. It's fun and light and easy. It's things that will just spice up your look. I don't love the word subscription. I think I want to get away from that. It's just sort of the must-haves. And to be honest, at a great price. It just kind of enhances what you have. You don't have to think too much about it. It doesn't hurt the budget. And it's just so fun. It's a gift to yourself.
I love that it's what you could be wearing through the season to update stuff, right? What I love about accessories is it elevates that outfit. So if you're wearing jeans and a t-shirt, you could just be wearing jeans and a t-shirt. But if you wanted to step out and put a little zazz and something to it, you throw on earrings, you put on a necklace, you grab a great bag, sunglasses, and those accessories finish off an entire look that you can transition through different days and different outfits.
Right. And
I love that about accessories because you don't always get that with a pair of jeans. Like a pair of jeans might be necessary if that's what you enjoy wearing.
Right.
But it's just going to look like the pair of jeans until you zhuzh it and make it interesting.
Right.
And I love that about accessories.
And it's so funny because I put on the same outfit you're wearing today.
Yeah.
And it's like you could take the jeans and the white button down and just make it so cool with a gold chain or spike earrings, and you just make it that much better.
And change it up. You had the boxes.
Yes.
And then you decided you were going to open a retail space.
Yes.
How has that been? How are you not only surviving, but thriving in this retail environment with everywhere? Anne's store is in Westport, Connecticut, for all my family and friends in other states. Hi, sister. Stores are shutting left and right constantly.
Yeah.
On like main streets, they're shutting, and it's a hard place to be. So what are you doing? And are there things that you've done that you're like, I'll never do that again? Are there failure points where you're like, okay, now I have to reassess the situation? Or do you feel like I've seen you scale it so perfectly. I don't think I've ever told you that, but I feel like the way you've done it is each year or each moment has been a great progression in your space. So how are you doing it?
I signed the lease for this space. I started the business in 2018. I signed the lease in 2019, November 2019. Fast forward 4 months, we shut down. I took the space because the business was being run out of my basement. So I had some loyal customers that wanted to just like shop, right? They weren't getting the boxes, or they were getting the boxes. They wanted a gift. They wanted like an extra piece. I had extra inventory because a lot of these companies have minimums to open accounts. So I would have this like extra inventory. Plus I would be at markets and see things that were a little more high end or a little more expensive that couldn't end up in the boxes. So I had shoppable pieces. So people would make appointments and come to my little tiny house in Westport and walk through my kids' playroom, step over the toys, and they would come into my little back office and they would shop. So I started seeing, I also like to promote the brand, was doing a ton of pop-ups before we shut down in 2020. So people sort of knew me in a different way. They knew me for the boxes, but they also knew me for the shopping. So I signed the lease. I moved in. I was 4 months in. I remember it was March 2020. I mean, it was like maybe March 1st day of 2020. And I said to my husband, I think I want more space. And so there was a section of this building that was open, connected to my space. And he said, we are about to shut down. The country is about to shut down. And I was like, oh, you're such an alarmist. Stop being so silly. And so I listened to him and I didn't take the space, thank God. But I will say it was actually wonderful having that space because people were stuck at home. They wanted to pick me up. They wanted something fresh and exciting. So the boxes thrived at that time. And it was lovely having a space to go to leave my house for an hour. And I could bring my children because, you know, they basically were just like a family unit. We could be together in a public space. So that was actually a gift. And the boxes did really well at that time because of the fun, you know, surprises they would be getting. So that was great. The space is called the HQ. It's the headquarters. So initially it was to pack boxes and store all the stuff. It was to get it out of my house. I had a cool like long desk for like meetings and whatever. When we started to open up a little more, you know, in like when we were coming out of COVID, I set it up to be more shoppable. I wanted it to be more of a place that people could come peruse. I still did the boxes. I still did them in that space. So I set it up to be a little like another thing. So it ended up being a second business. It's totally two separate businesses. I'm hidden where I am. I am not on Main Street. I'm behind Little Barn, the restaurant in Westport. So people have to find me. I'm like a little hidden gem, which I sort of like. It's kind of a gift because I do have funky hours. I'm trying to be more consistent. I'm open 11 to 3, Monday through Saturday. I still can have some balance between work and family, which is mandatory to me. Could I have grown a little bigger, faster if I had more hours? Maybe, but retail's tricky, so there's no guarantee there. I think I ask a lot of questions. I reach out to friends like you. Like, is this working? Do you feel like this other category might be a hit? Do you think it could be a dud? I love people for being honest with me because there are definitely times that I've been daydreaming something that would have just probably flopped. So I love just kind of firing questions at people that I feel like maybe could give me some good insight. Being a small business owner is a dream fest, right? We're always just sort of like thinking like, what's next? What would be cool? And so a lot of it is dreamy, but not necessarily going to hit, right? Not always is it going to work.
not always realistic too.
Right.
All the dreams.
Yeah.
But you have such good collaboration with the people around you. And I think that that's key. You do such a good job of asking the right questions and working with people around you.
Yeah.
You have a really good collection of people of friends and people around you that are good guides in that way.
Yeah. I mean, I feel really lucky that I've pinpointed some stars. I am very protective of what I'm doing. And I do have a hard time handing over, like delegating. I have a very hard time with that. But I do feel that other people's perspectives are invaluable. I mean, I couldn't do it without you and the other people that I trust. But it's a small circle.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Which I love. I mean, I love.
Yeah.
Because I feel like this is how our meetings go. You walk in, I say, I fire things at you. This, and you're like, this. And it's done. We're like a well-oiled machine, and it works so well, right? It's so easy and seamless, and like no hard feelings. If you're like, that's no, I'm like, okay, cool. Get it out of here. Yeah. Right? Let's move on.
But you need to know people. You need to know people. You know what you want,
yes.
and you know where your vibe is and where you want it to go, which you have to have. If you don't have your vision, you're never going to have any. It'll just all collapse because it's going to be everyone else's vision.
Right.
But you need to know people to just check.
Right. There's 7,000 things to look at, right? I make it down to like 10. I bring it to you. We pick 3. You know, so it is curated, and then it's just refined.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. And I just love it. I love the collaboration.
It's fun. Plus, this is supposed to be fun. I want this to be fun. I'm lucky enough to say my dream of 1111 was for fun. My first job out of college was at Urban Outfitters in their wholesale showroom. And that was so fun. And listen, that was a big business. But we had a blast. So really all my jobs have been hard work. We work so hard. And I feel like I still do. But I never wanted it to feel like a struggle or a grind. I wanted to keep the fun. We like to have a lot of parties, a lot of events. I like to loop in other small business owners. I love the space. Actually, for me, my favorite part of 1111 HQ is when we have markets and when we have other small businesses come to promote their businesses. And I don't charge people to come be with us because quite honestly, it serves me because people come in. It also serves me because it's my community, right? If I'm the only person owning 1111, I need a crew. I need like people around me. You know, it's like you miss the water cooler banter, right? And that's when you get it, is when you invite people in. So we've had a lot of success with these like markets. It's like a warm and fuzzy space. We all want to like help each other, right? So as the small things like commenting on a post, right? Liking my post. I mean, it seems silly, but it's actually so helpful. Even just DMs or messages, texts, like, great job. That was awesome. That's working. Those things all help a small business owner make it worthwhile, make you understand that what you're doing is, clicking and you're being received well. Yeah. Those are important things. Yeah. And things that we all forget about, right?
I love it. And I also don't love it sometimes.
Yeah. Listen, you don't want to need it so much. Yeah. But yeah, need it.
You kind of do though. You kind of have to have some sort of presence.
Yeah.
Right? Because that's really all we have we don't do commercials anymore.
Yeah. I know. No. Yeah. Right.
Could you imagine? What would an 1111 commercial look like? That would be so fun.
Oh, that would be.
We should just create one for social media.
We should make one.
Do like just a fun 1111 commercial.
Oh my gosh, I can see it right now. Like,
can you see
a slow walk into the studio and be like, "Hi."
It could be so good.
Welcome to.
Okay, we're gonna do it. We're doing it. We're doing a commercial. You've heard it here first, people. It's gonna happen. So we both listened to this really cool TED Talk.
Yeah.
So I'll give the background on the TED Talk. There's a woman named Molly Kay, and she, back in 2019, it was before the pandemic, she was just kind of floating through her life. She was a mom, and she talks about wearing her athletic wear constantly and just kind of fitting in but disappearing. Amongst everyone, right? And she was comfortable with that, but then at some point I think she felt like she wasn't anymore. So she went to her friend's vintage event where her friend was selling her vintage clothes, and she dressed up, and all these people complimented her on her clothes and what she was wearing and how inspiring it was and how they loved it. So after that, Molly decided every one day a week she was going to dress up. And she chose this 50s look, right? And she started talking to people on the street. She started giving compliments freely. She started being aware of who she was and where she was. And people noticed her.
Right.
And she was making connections with people. And that was the one part of this talk that she gave, was connecting with other human beings. When we are just kind of like walking through life and not paying attention and to what we wear or who we are, you lose connection with people. And then the pandemic hit.
Right.
And everyone lost connection.
Right.
We lost connection with people, our friends, our families. Like you lost connection with everyone. So for her, it was even more important that she was getting dressed during the pandemic.
Right. She was saying that it was important for her mental health to make these connections. What did she call it? An entry point, a hello point or something. She had a cool term for it. Connection point. It was
connection point,
like
hello point. And she did it all from the neck up. She said she wore something that was interesting from the neck up.
So they would have to look up at her. Right. It's great. Actually, this reminds me of a story of me in college. I was a freshman and I had my own dorm room. My roommate had a boyfriend or something. So she was never around. And I was lonely. There was I hadn't made the connections. I went to a big school. And so one day was a snowstorm and we were all like snowed in and I was bored and lonely. And I sort of defaulted to what I love. I got dressed up and it was like 9 a.m. on a Wednesday on a snow day. And I put on a black like mini dress and black knee-high boots. And I just like went out into the hall of my dorm, see who was around. And I had acquaintances on the floor. One of them was like, oh my gosh, you look great. Like, where are we going in this snowstorm? And I just kind of laughed. It's like, oh, I was bored. I just played dress up, And it turned into like this conversation, which then led to like, we went to go meet some other friends. My friends were like, oh, where'd you get those boots? I mean, these people that I was just meeting were like, oh, where'd you get these boots? And like, tell me more. And it snowballed into, we need to invite her to the next party, or where's Anne? Like, let's call her. And these people are my closest friends' sisters. Like, I live and die for them to this day. And listen, it wasn't the outfit that like sealed the deal with our friendship, but it definitely was an entry point. It was a hello point. And gosh, I'm so thankful.
You made a connection.
Yeah.
And I think too, you went back and played dress up. I love that. Yeah. I think as we get older, we stop having fun with our clothes. And it doesn't mean you have to wear polka dots and stripes together, although sometimes that's really cute.
Yeah.
But if it's getting dressed, it's playing. It's not only giving a little more self-respect to who you are, but walking out the door and saying, hey, I got dressed today. I respect the people around me.
Yeah.
Because there's something about clothes that can form connections with people, that can transform how you feel about yourself. This woman, Molly Kay, talks about how you change when you walk into a room dressed in a different way, right? Your shoulders are up. You stand up straight, or you look people in the eyes. And when it comes to when you're at work, that changes.
Right.
Like you look your boss in the eye when you're dressed well. There's a connection there.
Right.
And they see, oh, well, she came to play.
Right.
She's really going to show up today.
Right.
Versus someone else who doesn't. The connection can lead to a promotion. I've had clients who got promoted after they changed the way they dressed.
Right.
Because it doesn't change who they are. Like you said, it doesn't change the fundamentals of how they got to where they are.
Right.
It just changed how they presented themselves.
But
now.
it can also, I think, if you feel good, you do change your presentation, right? You do. And maybe you're more focused. Maybe you're more driven. Maybe you're more motivated, I think, if you get ready.
For sure.
Isn't that funny?
But I love that. I love that.
I love it too.
So when you grew up in Idaho,
yes,
you moved here when you were 6.
Yes.
But there's a pair of shoes in your retail space that were your grandmother's.
Yes.
So I need to know the story behind those, because I remember you telling me once, but I forget.
So my grandmother was born in Austria and she was very fancy. There's a lot of like mystery on her side of the family. Which needs to be like discovered, I think. But anyway, so she would always dress up. She was very fancy. She left Austria during the war, and she met her husband, my grandpa, in Australia. He was there serving in the army. He was a doctor in the army, and they fell in love and got married. And he brought her back to actually Iowa, and then they moved to Idaho. It's funny because they were in Boise, Idaho, which is like, in, I don't know, whatever, the 40s, 50s was like farm country, right? And I have a trunk of her clothing. She had floor-length gold sequins dresses, and she would wear them in Boise, Idaho, where no one was wearing that kind of stuff. And she had bright red lips, and she had these bold printed caftans, and she just was like over the top. And so my mom found this pair of gold, they're pink metallic heels, and they're gorgeous, and they're just too small for me. As many times as I try to slip them on, I can't. So I feel connected to her because of this, like, you know, glitzy, glammy thing that I think we both have. And so I wanted to remember her, and so I put the shoes in a lucite box, and they're in my office. And I look at them and I remember her, and I feel inspired by it. I have a cool little collection on that shelf of like little inspiring pieces. It's definitely one of them. I feel like that like glitters in my blood, right?
The sparkle is in it.
It runs deep.
It does. I need to know more about the story when you dive deeper into your grandmother and where the gowns came from and this background.
Yes.
And why have we not played in the gowns yet? Like, where is the trunk? And why have we not busted that out to play?
We're just different sizes, let's be clear.
We can still play.
Yeah, we could play. I love looking at them. I've offered them to the Westport Playhouse for their like productions because they're so fabulous. It's really cool.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
So I'm going to ask 3 questions to every person that comes to visit me and hang out with me. What is something you've changed your mind about recently?
Okay, so when you asked me this question, really, honestly, the only thing that came to mind was like personal. It wasn't even professional. So I have 3 kids. It goes to my family with this one. I have 3 kids, 16, 13, and 11. I'm like breathing down the neck of like sending my child in a car, right? Like he's about to get his license. And then starting to apply to colleges and what's happening after high school. He's a junior in high school, especially with him because he was my first, right? You like hover over your first child. I feel like I have to like figure out how to like, I'm changing my mindset of I got to let go a little. I got to trust that he will be okay. Right. Mm-hmm. And that's hard. So it's not that I changed my mind. I'm trying to shift my mindset on that one. Just it's hard.
How's the driving?
Kids.
Yeah. How's the driving going?
He has his permit. We take him driving. We have gigantic cars. So it's really hard to learn on a Tahoe and a Dodge Ram. It's really hard. He's doing great. I mean, initially I was like, this is never going to work. And he's doing great. Parking is tough, especially in those cars. It just takes a ton of patience. I mean, really, there have been times that I'm like, get out of the car. We're switching, right? Because there's a limit to the patience.
And the fake pressing of the brake.
Yes.
The fake
and the
pressing.
holding on to the side.
So I grew up in California, and we learned to drive. You had to learn, because I grew up outside of San Francisco. Mm-hmm. So when we grew up, you had to learn how to stop and start on a hill.
Oh, yeah.
Because you're going to constantly be doing that in everywhere you drive where we are from.
Yeah.
And my mom, hi Mom, had a Jeep Cherokee that was a stick shift. It was the greatest car. It's how I learned to drive on. All my friends learned to drive a stick shift on that car. It was the best. But she decided that's a great idea to take me on a hill in the stick shift and learn to stop and start.
Oh, geez.
So you're on this hill, and I'm like working the clutch and the gas, and I'm getting her going. And then she's like, okay, now stop. So I stop on I don't even know the incline. It was very steep. It wouldn't stop. The brakes, I was on such an incline. The brakes wouldn't stop. I was sliding down the hill.
Oh, God.
Now it was terrifying at the moment. Now it's just funny. And then my mom goes, pull the e-brake, pull the e-brake. So I'm pulling up the e-brake. The smell is happening. And finally the car stops.
Oh, geez.
And I looked at her and I got out of the car.
Yeah.
And I was like,
I'm done.
And I'm done. And I'm done.
And scene.
And this is it. I will not do this again. But then you get back up because you have to do it again.
Yeah.
But the driving...
I am impressed at how quickly he's changed from like a terrifying person behind the wheel to like, I think you can do this.
Responsible.
So yeah, there's hope.
Oh my God. I love it. Okay. So the next question is, what's the most random thing on your bucket list?
Okay. So I have, here's the thing. I have dreams that are like so far out there. Yes, I would love to sit like front row at a Chanel fashion show in Paris. That's on the bucket list. Is that going to happen? I don't know. Right. So I have, those big grand things, but I love a smaller dream that is actually sort of attainable because it just feels, oh, this could happen, right? And these are so silly and random, as you asked for. I want to see the Northern Lights. Like, I don't know if that's in like Iceland. Like, do I have to go to Iceland? Can I go to Canada? I don't know. But it interests me.
Yeah.
I think that'd be cool. And then I had another one. What was my other one? Oh, I want to go to SNL. I'm obsessed with SNL. And I want to be in the audience. And that's apparently impossible. But maybe, I don't know, maybe just meet someone out there. Do you have tickets?
Who works for SNL?
Who works for NBC?
Like, NBC, anyone.
Where are we going? Because I'm coming.
I heard you had to stand in line, and then it was like a lottery. You maybe got into the
I don't know,
pre-taping or something like that.
I want to go. I want to go on the night though, and like maybe to the after party. Maybe if I get invited, that would be cool.
It's out there.
Add it to the list.
It's out there. Oh, I love those. They're good. The last question is, if you could give your younger self one piece of advice, what would it be?
I think it would be, I think you have to be okay with knowing that you're not gonna like win them all, right? Like, not everyone's gonna be a super fan, and like you're still so good and so cool, even if not everyone receives you well. I think that's the most important thing, that you have to keep your head up. Oh, I didn't jive well with that person. Well, you know what? That's okay, because I drive really well with these other people. And if you're not into me, that's okay. I think that's it.
I love that.
I think that's it.
I think we all need to know that too.
Yeah, I think as long as you're like putting out your best, yeah. Right? If you're like a nice person, if you're a good person and someone's not feeling it, fine.
I think that's a hard lesson to learn, that not everyone's going to like you, and that's okay.
Yeah.
And you might not like everyone, and that's okay. You can always be nice and kind to people.
Right, of course.
It's staying true to yourself, what you believe in, who you are as a person, and you'll find your people.
Right.
I really love that.
Well, listen, I have a daughter in 6th grade, 11. We're about to go into the trenches with her. So I feel like I'm really trying to teach her now to pick her battles and carefully select who she's in with.
Yeah. Yeah. Because it can be treacherous out there.
Yeah, it can be tricky.
Okay, this was amazing.
So amazing.
Did you have fun?
I had so much fun. Maria, this is fabulous.
Thank you so much for joining me today on She's Smart. You can find a new episode every Thursday. Bye.